I hope we beat the Kings tomorrow, because we don't beat the Kings, then it's kind of over, right? I mean, not actually. All right. Let's get into our post-game show. The Raptors have lost, 6 of our last 7 games. We were 6-3. We are now 7-9. It's the first night of the back-to-back, losing to the now 10-5 Utah Jazz. The Raptors have to pick themselves up and respond against the Sacramento Kings tomorrow in what should very well be a winnable game. The Kings are in absolute shambles, but we unfortunately do have to talk about the game we just saw. The Raptors, who were leading at halftime 63-61 it is, do not show up in the second half offensively. I mean, allowing 61 points in the first half. The Utah Jazz stayed on pace. They were, in fact, a little bit under that first half pace and end with 119 points. It is the third game in a row we've allowed at least 118. The defense was not there. The offense bailed us out in the first half, but it did not sustain itself into the second half. This Raptors team just simply is not talented enough to sustain the offensive pace like that. And as soon as it dropped off, the defense didn't respond, and the Utah Jazz just kept doing what they were doing all throughout the game. You know, I'm not horribly upset that we lost to the Jazz. I'm upset at the manner of the defeat here, and we end up losing by a hefty margin, and it was pretty embarrassing from mid-third quarter onward. Honestly, I've seen it all for the Raptors. It's just the same thing every game at this point. It's bad every game. Doesn't even surprise me that they were this bad again. So let's talk about the stats that we saw. Stats kind of will open us up a little bit here. So let's zoom in a bit. Field goal percentage, the Jazz shot 55% field, 41%. They're pretty much on that all throughout the game. In fact, their three-point percentage decreased as the game went on. The Raptors were shooting very similarly at halftime and completely fell apart in the third, and that carried on into the fourth. Rough shooting percentage of 26% from three, 41% from the field. We got out-rebounded heavily, and even though we forced way more turnovers, our shooting just disabled us from getting any sort of rhythm in this game. Box score, Pascal Siakam was utterly awful tonight. 4 points on 2 for 14 shooting, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. I mean, as it comes to Siakam, just touch him a little bit more here. He's been great since coming back from injury. No question, he's been great since coming back from injury. This was awful, and he was awful. He was awful. More on the way about Siakam. Scotty Barnes, the stats don't really show. I really don't think he had a good game. He was 10, 6, and 6 on 5 for 11 shooting. No aggression from him. Kem Birch had 14 points at half, and that's it. Didn't get any more. But was excellent in the first half. Just not a lot of contributions in the second half. Van Vliet, decent game, 24 points. Gary Trent was hung out to dry, quite honestly. 31 points, 12 for 18 shooting. Wow, he was great. Didn't have any help. Boucher was absolute dud tonight. He's so bad. Boucher is so bad. Banton was awful tonight. Mihailuk was awful tonight. Flynn was actually somewhat okay. Champagny, I don't know why he wasn't introduced sooner. He was okay when he came in. And we just get beat up by everybody. Everybody chips in for the Jazz. They end with, how many bench points is that? They end with about, I think that's 57 bench points. Just quick math there. 57 bench points. The Raptors end with, how many? 11, 14, 18, 20. And it only looked good because of the garbage time. We got beat up on the bench. By the bench, we had no answer for Rudy Gobert pick and rolls, and our rotations were not good. Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam were consistently getting lost in their defensive rotations, and it led to so many open looks from three. We had no answer on the interior. This team desperately needs a center, and there's no rumors about a trade. We desperately need a trade for a center. Desperately, and we almost as desperately need to trade for some bench scoring. You've got the assets in Dragic and Boucher that you can move on to get some sort of return. The fact of the matter is this Raptors team cannot compete with the way they're playing defense. Our defense is what kept us in games earlier in the season. It's not right now. It's not right now. And since Siakam has returned, we have drifted away from our conservative defensive approach. And it's just not working. And Nick Nurse is too stubborn and too arrogant to tinker it in any way whatsoever. And he's just leading him out there to die. He's leading him out there into a battle they can't win every single game because he's just not setting the game plan up for success. And it's very clear that it's not a game plan that will be successful, but we do it every single game. So Siakam tonight and Barnes tonight. I think those are like two of your best offensive talents. Those are your best two slashers on the court. No question. It's inexcusable for your best two slashers to refuse to slash. They combined for 14 points. Siakam was dreadful. Just chucking up bad shot to bad shot, not finishing chances that he had. Barnes was not aggressive and refused to get to the rim. You get to the rim and good things happen. Rudy Gobert completely dismantled our offense on his own. We were scared. We were scared to go hit a layup. We were scared to go to the rim. I get he's a really good defender. You got to go up and force him into plays. Boucher, at the very least, even though they were pretty ill-advised chances, at least he goes up to the rim and gets blocked, right? At least he tries. The Raptors have nothing on the bench. Literally nothing. We have to force our starters to play absurd minutes. That's probably the cause of OG Anunoby's injury. I don't think having OG would have made any difference tonight because, hey, we've been allowing this many points in every game, no matter what. So, Raptors in the last 7 games have lost 6, and we've fallen to 7-9. I believe we're the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. There just really isn't anything to take away here. Gary Trent was great, but the defense. We can't play defense. Can't win basketball games. Defense wins championships, as Nick Nurse says, but you need defense to win games. You can't allow that many points. The Raptors are not talented enough to match the pace of 119 points by the Jazz, 118 by the Pistons, 127 by the Pistons, and 118 by the Portland Trailblazers. You got to find a way to pick yourself up, and the Kings are an even worse team than us. So you've got to pick yourself up. You've got to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I was shit tonight, and how can I be better? Nick Nurse really needs to watch some tape and figure out how to fix this. For real, he really got to fix this because we got bullied all over the court by the Utah Jazz for 48 minutes. And it's the Jazz, they're good. I get that, but there are things that you do need to correct. And things that are not being addressed by Nick Nurse that like how obvious can we make it here? How obvious can we make it that it's just not working right now? And there's a refusal for that to happen. We've got the trade bait. Masai needs to make some phone calls. We need a center. We need some help on the bench. Maybe we don't have the assets to do it. I recognize there's going to be growing pains, but this just isn't happening right now. It's not working. Something needs to change. You can't just keep doing this and expect it to start working. It's 6 of the last 7. Don't spiral out of control like last year where we lost, I think it was 9 in a row. Pick yourself up. Find a way to bounce back against the Sacramento Kings. And you've got a big test on Sunday. Because if you come out like this against the Warriors on Sunday, they'll win by like 25, 30 points. So you got to figure out what team you're going to be. And you got to understand this positionless game just isn't quite working right now. And you got to understand it's just not working on offense. Guys need to take their shots individually, but the Raptors just need to be better. Pascal Siakam, the best player on this team, needs to be better than this. Yeah, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season. So hope you guys are along for the ride. We do a post-game show for every single game, so make sure you subscribe to Amateur Clips, or you can catch these live on Twitch, twitch.tv/amateursports. We go live 30 minutes before every single late game. Link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Please give a like if you enjoyed. And we'll see you again tomorrow for another post-game show.